By all accounts, Carlo was a devoted husband and family man. But marriage and family could not curb his appetite for power and money. The repeal of Prohibition in 1933 brought harder times for many mobsters, drying up their lucrative bootlegging operations. But Carlo saw a new path to profit in a new racket: contraband liquor. By dodging liquor taxes, Carlo could undercut his legitimate competitors. With this scheme, Carlo made the first of his several fortunes. His success did not go unnoticed by the law. In 1937, he was convicted of tax evasion in connection with running a 1 million-gallon illegal still in Philadelphia. But Carlo somehow managed to beat the rap. He got off with a suspended sentence. By 1941, with America entering World War II, Carlo was busy devising ways to make money off it. As part of the war effort, the government began rationing essential goods like meat, chocolate, nylons, and gasoline. Government-issued ration stamps were as good as gold, so Gambino and his crew found ways to steal them and hoard them. When the government began protecting the ration stamps by storing them in banks, Gambino simply bribed corrupt officials to steal them for him. It wasn't long before Carlo made his next black market million. But he would not stop there. Carlo saw opportunities everywhere, including a business few mobsters would touch: gay bars.
He didn't personally go in there and pat people on the ass. He realized that a lot of gay men were lawyers, doctors, everything, and these people at that time were much more susceptible to blackmail than they are now. This wasn't that they were supporting the gay lifestyle. They were supporting their own lifestyle, and they were blackmailing a lot of people.
By the 1950s, Carlo had established an excellent reputation as a big earner for the Mangano crime family, but his path to further advancement seemed blocked. In 1951, his boss, Vincent Mangano, mysteriously disappeared. Many suspected that Mangano's underboss and Carlo's rival, Albert Anastasia, was responsible. Anastasia took control of the crime family. Nicknamed the Lord High Executioner, Anastasia was one of the most feared gangsters of his time. He headed up the infamous mafia hit squad known as Murder Incorporated. Though Anastasia made Carlo his underboss in 1956, Carlo knew he was unlikely to ever become boss through natural succession. He and Anastasia were both in their mid-50s. Anastasia could easily outlive him. Unlike his boss, Carlo Gambino was selective in his use of violence. But when he saw no other way, he would not hesitate to kill. Carlo was determined to reach the top, so Anastasia had to go. It was that simple. Carlo set up the hit. On October 25th, 1957, Anastasia went for a shave at his usual barber shop at the Park Sheraton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. As a hot towel was placed over his face, 2 gunmen rushed in and shot him 5 times, the last bullet penetrating his brain. Now, no one stood in Carlo's way. He was the boss. His wits and tenacity had gotten him to the top of the Mangano crime family. Soon, he would transform that family into his very own Gambino dynasty. By the age of 55, Carlo Gambino had finally achieved his lifelong ambition to become boss of a crime family. He had connived and killed his way to the top. Now it was time to exploit his power in the service of that most basic mafia principle: breaking the law to make money. The crime family, which now bore his name, already controlled the Brooklyn waterfront. But, like any good executive, Carlo knew the future lay in diversification. He expanded into a wide range of rackets: gambling, construction bid rigging, loan sharking, even securities fraud on Wall Street. In 1962, Carlo once again used bloodlines to strengthen his hold on organized crime. He arranged the marriage of his eldest son, Tommy, to the daughter of fellow New York crime boss, Thomas Lucchese. The marriage soon gave Gambino access to yet another lucrative and more modern racket.
Lucchese started doing a tremendous business by hijacking freight from JFK Airport, corrupting the unions that handle freight. And then he cut his friend Carlo Gambino in on that racket because Carlo Gambino's son had married his daughter.
Gambino had infiltrated what had become the nation's greatest port of entry, and the cash poured in. His men bribed airport employees to tip them off when valuable shipments were arriving. Gambino drivers were there to haul them away. Gambino expanded his criminal empire by taking control of yet another racket, extorting the New York garment industry, an industry responsible for 70% of all the clothes sold in the U.S. By infiltrating the small but powerful truckers' unions, Gambino could effectively demand a percentage of every garment sold. If the businesses did not pay up, their goods would not get to market. Following the old mafia tradition of secrecy, or omertà, Gambino conducted business in his Brooklyn home in code to foil any attempts by law enforcement to eavesdrop on his meetings.
If he and his capos met in the meeting room in his house to decide whether a certain guy should be killed or not, the scene would go something like this. One of the capos would get up and say, "Froggy legs." And Carlo would go like this. That meant the end of him. That meant he would be killed, you know. He would just nod his head.